Welcome to Cinema 5D on the Couch, the talk show with filmmakers and industry leaders. Brought to you by G Technology, Røde Microphones, Movidiam, Red Shark, Film Convert, and F&V.
We are all excited about new cameras, about innovation in camera. A lot has changed over the past 10 years. I mean, the quality we are able to produce now with very inexpensive cameras is not comparable to what we were able to do only 10, 15 years ago. But with all the organizational part, all the team, the crew, pre-production, production, post-production, you still rely on pen and paper. You might rely on, the odd digital tool, but nothing of that is connected. So, we use Google Docs, we use Asana, we use Toggle, all these kinds of things, but they're not connected, and it's still a pain. And it's just you emails back and forth, organizing stuff, and that's really something that it doesn't get easier. It gets more and more complicated, especially when you use more cameras, more crew. It's really it grows exponentially, and that's something. The real innovation is needed in this organizational part of filmmaking.
I think those tools, and some of them are absolutely excellent, they haven't been made bespoke, specific for filmmakers and people wanting to create films efficiently with exciting teams. And going back to your point about the hardware and the cameras, there's been a massive exciting explosion of entrepreneurial creative talent because of the nature of the technology, ultimately quality up and cost going down. So a lot of people who might not have had access to make films in the past now do, and there is a lot of brilliance out there, and we want to celebrate that and connect people to facilitate that in a seamless way. I mean, even at IBC today, the phone battery goes dead, you're trying to pull files from Dropbox, you're trying to look up contacts, and we're looking at that in the round with the filmmaking process at the core of it, and we really look forward to your thoughts on that, and Philip, your thoughts sort of on the guts of the system, to sort of really try and evaluate, to understand how we can make the best thing possible for the community out there.
Are you planning to integrate existing technology, or? I
think it's a really interesting question, and naturally there's a lot of technology we have to look at, because there's a lot of technology filmmakers are already using. Where we can streamline it, we'll probably develop our own. If it's something which is going to be is already excellently endorsed by filmmakers, we might look to use API or reach out to businesses that are already using it. But really we want to create a bespoke solution so filmmakers feel this is an absolute destination for them to run with seamless efficiency.
I just think, a lot of the similar approaches that I've seen in the past, very often that you see something that starts as an interesting idea, but then either they're trying to do too much, you don't need to reinvent the wheel if it's already there. For example, Dropbox, for example, everybody has a Dropbox account.
For sure.
I can share a Dropbox folder with everybody because everybody has it installed. If you did something like that, it would be very hard to convince everybody to reinstall something new. So
absolutely 100%, and the journey that we're going on is not to try and take people away from using those tools. We will offer it as an additional thing, and it will be probably one of the smaller features in our tool, because others do it exceptionally well. But again, it's this consolidation all into one domain that is really important for the vision of the thing to actually work, and for filmmakers to feel that they've got one concentric destination to start the commissioning process, message clients, define budgets, assign what those budgets are, put in the creative, put in the storyboards, and then have a review process all there, and then ultimately be able to pay through the system as well. So, a lot of pain points for freelancers that I've worked with over the last 10 years is, people sometimes aren't very reliable about paying. Not in all cases, but sometimes. So if there can be a scheduled payments engine that says, right, in this time after we've delivered the files, we'd like to commit to this payment, and if that can be done in advance, there'll be some sort of contract note. There are others in the space that
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
It's a big pressure. It's a big pressure for filmmakers, and I think certainly in the freelance space. Now I think there are others out there in sort of the room rental space, and there's other big examples, and where they've very, very convincingly done this, and so there's a lot of adoption, and people are beginning to understand. And I think the niche of filmmaking, which is massively exploding as the demand for it from businesses and creative storytelling, there's a huge engagement with that. there needs to be the rigor in a system somewhere to support the freelance.
That would
attitude.
be great. I mean, can you imagine going to a shop and taking something and saying, "Hey, I'll pay this in 3 months or so.
Yeah,
I'll let you know."
Yeah, I mean,
Thanks.
I think it's just
crazy the way that we have to. You know what it's like. It's like, oh my god, you get invoices, and like, is somebody going to pay at some point? And I think only once somebody actually paid me before a job once, which is like, wow.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of the way it
Whole
should
new
be.
world.
It's literally like nobody's going to hand over this TV that I bought from department store until I give them my credit card. So it actually kind of makes sense. I'm not going to hit record until I see money.
It's just very interesting. I mean, I remember, Nina, you talk about it, you say, I've got this pile of invoices to pay and I've got all these editors and these camera people, etc., etc. Well, yes, I'd like to see that inside the platform and, clearly visible. These people have been paid. These people have got 3 days to pay. These people 10 days to pay. And, build a visible dashboard. And I think if on the promotional film on Movidiam.com, you can see the vision of the project that we're trying to do there. And yes, the scope is big. But it's just the way it has to be have a large vision, because we've got to include these various pain points. But I do take the point though about not overdoing it and developing too many features.
Yeah, or
falling
maybe
flat.
integrating some of the stuff that's already there, if it makes sense. But
Yeah.
it's true. I mean, the more you do that, the more general it gets again, and the more the less relevant some parts of it.
I think one of the key things we've tried to look at as well, and that's because we are and have been and still are filmmakers, is that constructing beautiful images is about an aesthetic feel. It's an emotional thing, and with Movidiam.com and the general UI and interface, we've done that very much with a filmmaker in mind. So it looks very, very good. I'd even say beautiful. We spent a long time developing it, but the engine behind it is also very, very significantly thought through from a design perspective. Yeah. So again, it's this upsurge in filmmakers and these independent filmmakers that we're trying to reach out to really give them a rigorous place where they can work.
One conversation with a good client of mine really got me thinking the other day. That was just 2 days after we met. I told you before.
Yeah.
He's the boss of a big online agency, and he told me, he was looking for a very specific type of cameraman for a very specific type of job, which is kind of hard to find sometimes, as opposed to if you find a specialized photographer, is much easier to find. He because there are agencies. You go to a photographer's agency and tell them, well, I need a portrait photographer, I need a sports photographer, and very often these people are more specific in saying that I'm good in this, I'm good in that. Whereas as a cameraman, very often there's a lot of people, especially now with the technology more accessible, that say, I can do anything.
You have to if you want to compete.
Yeah, but that's a problem for
the only thing I
clients.
can think of is that specific will be, I do underwater,
natural history.
Underwater, or I can fly a multi-rotor. Other than
But
that,
I have a lot of clients who really have a problem with that, because they are, when I recommend somebody, I sometimes know this person is good in this, but I don't actually know are they good in the other thing.
I think a really interesting example from Movidiam as well, Xavier Wassel, who shot some of our promotional films for us in the Swiss Alps. Now, I had a great idea of this super duper DOP in London, who I'd love to have taken out there to do that, but Zafar knew the locations, was passionate about his Red camera, was passionate about how to to test it out in all these different environments. So it really fitted with what we wanted to achieve. Now, if we had taken X from London, we'd have had some amazing shots, but it wouldn't have had that sort of local knowledge, the identity from him living up in the Alps. And I think to find the team of best fit, sometimes it was very, very useful if that dashboard is presented to you. And I think a lot of freelancers, with their personal name.com, don't spend a lot of time pushing their own website because they're all the time working. Whereas what we're hoping to do is take that profile and build an algorithm and a search facility that when their skill sets and their profile information is searched by an agency or a business that's looking for it, they will profile up and be very visible. So hopefully Zafar in the future will be visible as an outstanding Red cameraman, DOP director in the Swiss Alps. And I just think it's just reducing that gap. It is very, very important for the livelihood of a lot of these cameramen who are just so passionate about what they do, and sometimes they could be doing more. They'd like to work 7 days a week or 4 days a week as opposed to 2.
Yeah,
and that's just an overall view that we have, and which kind of fuels the search programming.
Yeah, I think there are other sites that were trying to do similar things, but they're always kind of not quite nailing it. For example, IMDb Pro.
Yeah.
I mean, they are charging how much per month for basically a site, page which has all your.
I think if we look at the history of cinema and the credit system in general, I mean, the last 100 years, it's been the white text that kind of comes up at the end of the film. And I was sitting in the cinema the other day thinking, that isn't a hashtag. That's not linkable. We can't tweet that. And I believe that actually some of those Philip can probably, yeah. But I believe some of those credit systems should be kind of have some attachment to your identity and who you are and what you've done. So there are other examples out there of social networking sites that do this. In the sort of commercial space perhaps. And I just think for filmmakers to be able to go, okay, Philip shot that. He was the DOP. He was his editor. He was his best boy. He was the lighting guy. And then others would be able to kind of connect.
Who are these extra crew members?
Not that you have them all the time. Not that you have them. And I think again, it's being able to crew up and crew down.
It's true. It's also like IMDb, for example, is very elitist in what they take.
Not anymore. They're not.
They're not anymore.
No, it's awful. It's become really bad. Yeah, because anything that's basically been on the internet is called being premiered.
Yeah.
And so I had an issue a few months ago, and it's still on there. Is I put out some footage of my dad smoking that cigar on the Blackmagic 4K, and some guy, I put it out there for people to play with, and some person re-edited it, which is fine, put it up there, and then put it on IMDb. And so on my credits, it has me as director.
This is it.
In my real job, and then it says, camera test with Arnie Bloom. It's like,
where do you draw the line?
It actually becomes to a point where, okay, so...
They used to be really strict about that.
I think this is a key issue, and I think that you're demonstrating a pain point there. And I think with our sort of testimonial system, the project manager will invite you to the system, and you'll accept it, and there will be a yes, approved, and then you're fixed in there with your testimonial. And so more visibility on who has done what will be in the Movidiam platform. And I think actually, the sound man here.
Put your vines on there, seriously. You literally could. Do 20 vines a day, and you could build up your IMDb profile.
Yeah,
fair amount.
I think the I mean, there's some fantastic things with that site, and you've probably mentioned a couple that aren't so fantastic. But it's a little development from the text that comes up at the end of the creative cinema film, and it's quite list based. Again, going back to the visual nature of our product, it's highly thought through from how a filmmaker wants to feel and look when it's on his working dashboard. I mean, just the sound gentleman here today saying, I haven't been referenced on a number of my projects, and even in some cases, some audacious cases, other people have referenced me, and I'm just thinking, that's a real important thing for filmmakers, and credit has been traditionally in filmmaking an incredibly important thing to get your next opportunity or to find your next job. And I certainly, when I first started out, I buddied up with the cameraman, and slowly, I got a little bit more context with other people, and then other people, but it was a very, very long and slow process. And I'm not the most talented filmmaker in the world. There are plenty of people better. There are plenty of people worse. But visibility on the skill set is what is important.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be like to get actually on that site. You had to jump through so many hoops, and it was like, oh my god, we've got it on.
I thought it's still the same. I haven't.
No, it's changed. Terms and conditions will change. So you can literally, just of course now I've told people. We will see more, your rolling shutter test that you did will be up there soon, and it will be sat right next to something that that you're proud of. It'll be like, maybe it'll be right below homophobia or right above it, and you're like, this is a proper piece of work, and this is a piece of junk. Yeah. But I have no control over it. I can't get that pulled down.
Yeah.
So once it's there, it's
there. I've asked the guy. He said he'd do it, but he's the only one who can take it down.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, it's.
So where are you right now with Movidiam? Are you already signing up people, or?
Yeah, so okay, we're at a very exciting stage, Nina, and you've been so supportive already and sharing and telling people about it, and I think the quality of the Cinema 5D reader, which you shared the Movidiam story with, and we've been looking at people pre-registering, so we're at the pre-registration stage, which means that we're trying to build the visibility of filmmakers out there, from every touch point in filmmaking, sound guy, lighting guy, DOP, director, editor, to pre-register and kind of open a dialogue with us about how you want this thing to progress and how you want this thing to develop. I'm very, very community-minded in terms of the process of developing software. I think we need to iterate very, very quickly, and we need to take feedback from A-star filmmakers and influencers to kind of really interpret this system in the right way. So we are pre-registering. Movidiam.com is live with a whole load of examples and promo films of how it's going to work for filmmakers, businesses and agencies, and we're looking for people to kind of put in their email address and just tweet it out to their friends and family and their filming networks. Philip, I'm sure we're going to do that later. But no, it's just so that's the stage we're at, and I think it's we want to be able to deliver an exceptional thing here, and the more people we can engage, the more filmmakers we can engage with, the greater chance we have of producing something that really is here to stay.
So you already have the programming almost ready?
Absolutely. The programming is very much there, and as soon as you're ready to come into the office and have a look at the beta guts of it, you're more than welcome to. It's very, very exciting, the process of finalising the program, because it's at the moment when you get people in to kind of start looking at it and evaluating it. But later on this year, we will be going live with Movidiam.com with people such as yourselves testing the system, using it, pulling others into it. Driving the call sheets, using the storyboards. Call sheets, for example, is a very dynamic thing. We are at this postcode. Here comes the local hospital. Here comes the taxi company. All the data's populating, so there's not so much time wasted. If you and Philip are on the same shoot, Philip can, there's a number wrong or something, Philip can change it, you can change it. It's a very collaborative experience, because no longer do we want to have, the call sheet being, a piece of paper that's got coffee spilt on it that, the only number you need isn't on there. And so we're trying again. So these things are, they're very much there, and we'll be going live later on this year.
Thanks for watching this segment of Cinema 5D on the Couch. Also, thanks to our dear sponsors G Technology, Røde Microphones, Film Convert, F&V and Movidiam.com. And please do join us for the next episode in this series.